Imagine waking up and finding your Social Security check has jumped to $1,990 a month. Not because of a one time bonus, but because the law now guarantees it for every beneficiary. That's the core of a proposal now circulating in Congress, and it's more than just talk. If you stick with me to the end, you'll know exactly what's in this new bill, how it stacks up against another major Social Security reform called the Social Security Expansion Act, and why one of these ideas could deliver the largest across the board increase seniors have seen in decades, while potentially keeping the program solvent for the next century. If you're on Social Security, SSDI, or survivor benefits, and especially if you've been disappointed by past big bills that promised relief but delivered little, this could be a turning point. We're talking about real numbers that affect your monthly budget, not vague political sound bites. Seniors who have been living on $900, $1,100, or $1,300 per month could see their incomes jump by hundreds. And if you're already above $1,990, you'll want to know why that number matters and how it could affect the program's future. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly who benefits, how much, what it costs, and whether these changes are realistic in the current political climate. No fluff, no hype, just the facts and what they mean for you. Before we dig into the details, a quick note. This is exactly the kind of change that can sneak up fast. Bills can move from committee to the floor in weeks if the political will is there, so staying informed is critical. That's why I cover Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and senior finance issues with the receipts to back it up, so you can separate what's possible from what's just election talk. Let's start with the Social Security Expansion Act. This is a real filed bill, H.R. 1700 in the House and S. 770 in the Senate. It's bipartisan in the House and sponsored in the Senate by Bernie Sanders, and it does 5 big things that could impact every current and future beneficiary. First, it raises benefits for everyone by $200 a month, an extra $2,400 a year. This is an across-the-board increase, no income tests, no special qualifiers. Second, it raises the minimum benefit to 125% of the federal poverty level. In 2025 numbers, that's about $1,600 a month. For someone currently getting $900 to $1,000, that's a jump of around $600, transformative for low-income retirees. Third, it changes how cost of living adjustments are calculated. Right now, the inflation formula doesn't reflect the real costs seniors face, things like prescription drugs, hospital bills, and rent. This bill would use a CPIE, a consumer price index specifically for the elderly, so annual COLAS better match actual expenses. Fourth, it strengthens the program's finances by lifting the payroll tax cap on income above $250,000, affecting only the top 9% of earners. Fifth, it ensures career-long low-wage workers never receive a benefit below 125% of the poverty line, permanently tying their benefit floor to that threshold. This bill isn't just about increases, it also addresses the solvency problem. Without changes, the Social Security Trust Fund faces automatic benefit cuts of about 25% starting in 2032. By taxing more of high earners' income, the Expansion Act could extend the program's life by decades without raising taxes on 91% of households. Now that's one path. The other, and arguably more dramatic, is what's being called the flat benefit proposal, setting everyone's benefit at 150% of the federal poverty level, which in 2025 works out to $1,990 a month. Unlike a COLA tweak or a targeted increase, this would standardize payments across the board. If you currently get less than $1,990, you'd see an immediate boost. If you get more, your benefit would level to that amount. According to an analysis by the Congressional Budget Office, this approach would not only lift millions of low-income seniors well above poverty, it would also save the government $400 billion and keep the program solvent for over 100 years. That's a staggering figure, far longer than any other single proposal they reviewed. Raising the retirement age to 70? That only solves about 35% of the funding gap. Cutting COLAs? That closes just 10%. Even lifting the payroll tax cap without crediting extra benefits solves only 70% of the problem. The flat benefit at $1,990 solves it completely and immediately. According to an analysis by the Congressional Budget Office, this approach would not only lift millions of low income seniors well above poverty, it would also save the government $400 billion dollars and keep the program solvent for over 100 years. That's a staggering figure, far longer than any other single proposal they reviewed. Raising the retirement age to 70, that only solves about 35% of the funding gap. Cutting COLAs, that closes just 10%. Even lifting the payroll tax cap without crediting extra benefits solves only 70% of the problem. The flat benefit at $1,990 solves it completely and immediately. Why? Because it rebalances payouts in a way that concentrates resources where they make the biggest difference, helping those who are most financially vulnerable while reducing long-term obligations for higher earners. For someone living on $1,100, this is life-changing. Groceries, utilities, and rent become manageable without skipping medications. For someone at $2,400 now, it's a cut, but one that comes with the trade-off of guaranteeing the program's survival for generations. The politics, of course, are tricky. Flat benefits create clear winners and losers, and lawmakers tend to avoid proposals that reduce payments for any current recipients. That's why some see the Social Security Expansion Act as more politically viable. It boosts everyone's check, fixes COLA, and extends solvency, all without reducing existing benefits. But it doesn't fix the trust fund gap entirely, it just buys more time. The flat benefit fixes the gap for a century, but at the cost of some higher checks being lowered. For seniors living below the poverty line, the choice is obvious. $1,990 a month is stability. For higher income beneficiaries, the appeal depends on whether they value long-term solvency and fairness over maintaining current payout levels. It's a philosophical question as much as a financial one. If either bill moves forward, the impact is immediate. The Expansion Act's $200 boost and minimum floor increase could appear in checks as soon as the 1st January after passage. The flat benefit could be implemented in a similar timeline, with the SSA adjusting all benefit amounts in one sweep. And both would pair with ongoing COLA increases, though the flat benefit would likely use the standard CPI formula unless paired with the CPIE adjustment from the Expansion Act. Here's the key takeaway. Both proposals put real money in seniors' pockets and address the long-term health of Social Security. One gives everyone a raise and targets the poorest for the biggest bump. The other sets a universal amount that dramatically helps the lowest income recipients and secures the program for a century. The risk? Neither is law yet. They're filed bills, subject to committee debates, amendments, and the political priorities of the moment. As we've seen with past big bills, announcements can be louder than outcomes. That's why it's essential to watch the actual legislative process. When a bill gets scheduled for markup, when it passes out of committee, when it hits the floor. If you're counting on Social Security as your main income source, this is the time to pay attention. Not just to headlines, but to the specifics. Know the bill numbers: House Resolution 1700, Senate 770 for the Expansion Act. Track where they are in the process, and understand the trade-offs of the flat benefit proposal so you can decide where you stand and communicate that to your representatives. This isn't about hype. It's about whether your monthly check next year is the same as now, $200 higher, $600 higher, or reset to $1,990. It's about whether the program still exists in full when today's younger workers retire. And it's about whether Social Security is treated as a lifeline that keeps seniors out of poverty or as a benefit subject to political bargaining every few years. So, what would $1,990 a month mean for you? Would a universal flat benefit be worth it if it guaranteed solvency for 100 years, even if it meant trimming higher checks? Or do you prefer the Expansion Act approach where everyone gets a raise but the solvency gap is only partially closed? Share your thoughts. These decisions will be shaped not just in committee rooms, but in the court of public opinion. And if you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Because when a Social Security bill is real, filed, and moving, the difference between knowing and not knowing can be hundreds of dollars a month in your pocket. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's make sure these decisions put seniors first, because that's what Social Security was built for in the first place.